What is it really like to be Black in the Ivy League? Now, before we get into this video, before I really dive into my experience at Brown University, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sydney Rosant, host of Sydney's Safe Space, where you come to for entertainment, culture, social stuff, sports stuff, and politics. So let's get into this video, but before I dive in, I've seen a lot of these, right? A lot of these, like my time at Brown, what is it like to go to Brown vlogs. There's people who create like their entire, all their content is about the fact that they go to Brown, and I think that's cool. That's not really necessarily what I want to do because as much as going to this school is an interesting experience, I don't want to talk about it all the time. I have talked about my experience as a student athlete at Brown though, so I will probably just link that above so y'all can watch that because it's interesting. But I think that because I've had multiple different iterations of me as a student at Brown, so that's right prior to COVID, as a student athlete, during COVID, stayed home, and then came back as an athlete, but then I was sick, did medical leave. So I kind of know like what it's like to be in different places, right? And I can kind of speak to those experiences. I find that when people talk about their time at Brown, like they keep it very PG, right? They keep it very like complimentary, and maybe that was their experience. Maybe they like have no issues with the school whatsoever, but that's just not mine. And I think that like if you are like me, right, a Black student, somebody who is first gen, who has parents that are immigrants, you kind of need like a little bit of honesty, right? You need like, call it big sister advice, call it whatever you want. The other thing is that I know that there's a lot of people applying, right, during this time. I don't know if the application deadline has already hit. I don't really care. But I know a lot of people are applying. I know that in December, like the early admissions people or early action people are going to get admitted. So I think that there's a lot of people who are going to be like, what's going on at Brown? So I'm going to tell you what's going on. So let's go into why I chose Brown. I was recruited to play basketball. And it ended up being between Brown and Harvard, and I chose Brown. So the reason why I chose Brown was because of the open curriculum, which I will kind of describe for you guys. And then I felt like there was a genuine spirit of a collaboration and community, right? That was something that on my visits, students would talk about, like coaches talked about it, members of the administration talked about it. It is the thing that separates Brown from every other Ivy League school, or is that it is all about collaboration. They're all about collaboration. And I think that my experience at Brown has reflected that. I've had classes where we've gotten group grades, right? Like we're doing everything as a group research, group this, group that. And it's nice to have that experience. And I think that it enhances your experience as a student for you to be working with others, because that's what you're gonna do in the workforce, right? You're not just gonna be by yourself. You're gonna be working alongside other people trying to achieve a certain goal. I was also under the impression that the school was very liberal, and I'll get into how that was a false impression. A lot of people think that Brown is like this very happy-go-lucky liberal school that encourages their students to be gay. And I say that because Fox News has attacked our school several times for that, and that's not the case, right? Brown it's an institution that allows you to have a lot of personal agency to a degree, but it falls short in all the ways that it needs to. It falls short, essentially. That's what I'll say. So let's get into the academics. The open curriculum, essentially, which I referenced earlier. Hold on. And this is the definition of open curriculum, right? It is Brown's distinctive approach, where you get to be an architect of your own education. Brown students are responsible for their own intellectual and creative development. Most undergraduates sample courses in a range of subjects before diving into one of 80 plus academic concentrations for in-depth focused study. So essentially what that means, right, is you do not have core curriculum. You don't have gen eds at Brown, right? So you don't have to take this class. You don't have to take this class. Although, here's the caveat, right? You do have to take writing intensive courses. I believe it is one writing intensive course within your first 2 years at Brown, and then another in your the second half of your time at Brown, right? So they're really big on being able to basically be able to write, right? They want you to be a good writer regardless of what your concentration is. Also, I'm a political science concentrator. I don't know if I made that clear earlier. I think that's something I probably should have said that, but if I didn't, it is what it is, guys. So yes, there is that. And as far as the support systems are concerned, right? So that's like the deans, the academic coaches, the tutors. There's a ton of deans for different things. They are relatively supportive. There's academic coaches, there's tutors. So you've got a lot of people who are here to help you. I would say if you're insistent, right, you can make this system work for you. And I would encourage people to remember, if you are at Brown, that like, hey, you're paying an arm and a leg to be here. They need to serve you, right? They need to make sure that your experience is as seamless as possible, right? I feel like for me, there have been times where I was just like so down and out, and didn't realize that like, yo, these people are gonna help make this experience much easier for me, much simpler for me. So it's a matter of communication, which isn't easy. It's not easy to ask for help, especially when you're accustomed to doing things by yourself. But there are people at the school who get paid to help you, so use them. That's what I would say. Get what you need. Now, let's talk about financial aid and tuition. Brown University can't be trusted. Nobody talks about this in their videos, but I feel like we gotta address it. Brown is one of the universities accused of conspiring to limit aid to undergraduates. And I think it's important to talk about that because it's a part of our experience, right? We always want to talk about the social stuff, the dating, the parties, and that's about it. But like, Brown is a private school, right? You're not paying in-state tuition. You're paying, exorbitant amounts. Maybe some of you all will be on financial aid, but sometimes like it's not really enough. And I think that like, at least for me and my family, my parents, they kind of have me handle it, and it's not always easy. And obviously they were a part of handling it too. But when I say handle it, I mean like I sometimes, and you know what, here's what I'll say. It was kind of like me and my parents trying to figure it out together. So like a lot of the stress they felt, I felt, and I don't think Brown did a good enough job at helping, right? At the end of the day, when you talk to the financial aid people and the bursar people, that's when you really realize this is a business. They don't care about you. They just want your money. And that can be hard. That can be a hard pill to swallow. And it was for me. And my bursar representative, right, was always difficult to deal with. Never provided like comprehensive options for my family. It was always like, nope, can't do this. Nope, can't do that. Nope, we can't help you in this way. Nope, we can't help you in that way. And I'm like, dang, like, are we supposed to go bankrupt? Are we supposed to go bankrupt? It's frustrating. So paying for Brown has never been an easy or simple process for me. If you have the money, that's great. But I think that for the people who don't, and it's not a lot of us technically, right? Because the majority of people who go to Brown are very well-to-do. But if you're in the boat that I'm in and you have two working class parents, like it's just not easy. It's just not. So we got to talk about Brown's administration, which we should not conflate with the faculty or the students. These are two separate entities, right? They are frequently very negligent in addressing the issues on the campus and social issues. So I'll take the Title IX office, for example, right? God forbid anything happens to you, whoever's watching, who might get into Brown, know that the Title IX office is not going to help you out, right? I have gone through serious forms of discrimination on this campus. The investigators of that do nothing, right? They're more so there just because I feel like they have to be. These offices have to be there. But as far as them being proactive in finding ways to make colleges a safer place for the students, they're not doing anything. They're not proactive at all. It's frustrating. It's honestly shameful. And I think that it's like the faculty and the students are in this constant battle to get the administration to genuinely engage in being better, right? Being better to the faculty, right? And that is to the people who work in the dining halls, people who clean up the rooms, the people, the facilities people. They don't treat them well. And then to the wider Providence community, right? Like all of the displacement that Brown is responsible for, it's like, because this university takes up so much space, it's like, y'all have an obligation to be better, right? To be a positive force on the people around you, the people that are employed by you. And I feel like as a student, and through like my relationships with certain professors and faculty members, the constant struggle is like, yo, be better. And they're just like, no, but you can talk about it in class, but we're not going to. Whew. Now we're gonna get out of the boring parts, right? I whip through them for y'all because I know this is what you really want to hear. So we're talking about like the social life on campus, and if you're Black, look, you're guaranteed to deal with some microaggressions, and it's going to come from literally, it could come from anywhere. You can come from your students, you can come from professors, you can come from faculty. It comes in all shapes and forms. You have to remember you are among the 1%ers. So these people are least aware, right? They have the most proximity to privilege. Therefore, they are just not going to understand certain complexities of your experience. And they didn't understand these complexities of my experience. I think the best way to deal with it is sometimes, for some people, they decide to put their head down and just like, just deal. At least for me, I kind of like to address things head on. And I feel like sometimes my pain can be a valuable teaching moment for someone else. Awful that it has to be that way, but like, that's just how it be. But like, you should expect discrimination if you're a Black person. You just should. Like, if a lacrosse team is throwing a party and you don't know anybody on the lacrosse team and you don't know anybody who plays the sport, you're probably not getting in. I mean, you don't want to be at the lacrosse parties at Brown anyways, but that's just my point, right? As far as like the Black community on campus is concerned, I'd say that it's a very small community. It's just a few of us now. So everybody kind of like at least knows everybody pretty vaguely or follows everybody on Instagram. So the vibes appear to be good, but they can also be not good, right? Like when you have a very small amount of people, there's a tendency that there's going to be a lot of drama. Interpersonal relationships can go bad. But what I will give credit for is that I feel like the younger Black students after COVID have done a good job of like keeping things relatively wholesome. Prior to COVID, like there would always be like group me, arguments and things of that nature. It feels like people are a little bit more genuine in reaching out for connection in this younger crew. So it's nice to see. I don't really socialize as much as I used to, just because like I'm a 5th year senior, so I'm tired. I'm ready to leave. To be honest with you, not that I don't want to meet younger people, but it's just like I got senioritis like crazy. And I mentioned parties before. They're not great in my opinion. I just think the school is too small. Like I don't want to see, like when I go out, I don't want to see people that I know. I want to see people that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I want to be in other environments. And sometimes when you're on campus and you're at a party, like it just feels like you're on campus and at a party. The other thing is like, if as a Black person, I don't like listening to music, and that's what a lot of people like to play up north. They like to play that stuff. So if you're from like the South or the West Coast, like you're not gonna hear the music that you like to hear. If you're like African like me or Caribbean, like sometimes, at the larger, parties with white people, like you're just not gonna hear what you want to hear unless you bully them into giving you the aux. But like if I'm going to a party, do I want to fight? No, I don't want to fight you for the aux. I just want you to give me the aux. Right? If it's bad music, or I just want you to intuitively know what I like to listen to. and then play that music. Now, I will say that Providence has a decent nightlife if you enjoy kind of like an Afro, Latinx, or Caribbean vibe. You're gonna get that in Providence. It's not a lot of spots, but there's enough, I guess, like for you to survive. But you're also not that far away from New York City or Boston, which has those vibes for surely. Let's talk about dating, y'all. So on this campus, as a Black woman, dating is like, walking through a minefield, right? And I say that because you don't know where to step. It's very difficult to navigate. You get what I'm saying, right? You don't know whose toes you're stepping on because it's just such a small pool of people. And I'm not saying not to try. I'm not saying that. I didn't really try to date on campus. Luckily, I found someone not on campus. So my life is very peaceful. But once you're connected to someone, once you and that person, people know of the two of you as some sort of item, it's hard to get disconnected from it, right? So say something happens, you and that person are pretty much linked. Everybody's gonna think of you and that person. The drama, all of that stays, and everybody has their own 2 cents that they're going to put it in, right? They're gonna say what they think. It gets chaotic, right? And people love to talk. It's a small campus. So all I would say is just tread lightly. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying the majority of here's what I'll say. If you do the majority of your dating off campus, you're going to live a very peaceful life. If you do the majority of your dating on campus, you will not. Okay. And last but not least, this is a very, very important topic, arguably the most important topic, is careers and internships. How does Brown help you get into a career or an internship? So right now the job market is atrocious. So one thing I want to make very clear is that you should never be lulled into a sense of false security because you have an Ivy League degree or you go to an Ivy League. I'm not saying that it's not going to help you or it's not going to boost you, right? Because I know for a fact I had a corporate internship this past year. That was this past summer, a tech internship, which was great. Me going to Brown helped, but me building my resume and building up the skills that I needed for the job is what got me the job. Because I know a lot of people who went the whole focus on your grades route and they sitting at home and they can't find any employment. So one thing I would say is one of the best ways to address this is to be proactive about the industries you're interested in and to join networking groups, right? So there's something called MLT, there's SEO. I think MLT is Management Leaders of Tomorrow, and SEO is sponsorships of educational opportunity. They're going to literally prepare you for some of these finance and consulting types of jobs or grad school, right? They're going to put you through courses, and that's going to help. And you're going to get to network with people that are in those industries. It's going to create that sort of, what's the word? It's going to create the infrastructure that you'll need, okay? But I think Brown itself does have some feeder companies, right, that are really recruiting heavily from Brown. So Deloitte is one of them. I know several people who are working at Deloitte or working for Deloitte, and so I would suggest that you look into that. But those are primarily for fields like consulting, finance, all of that stuff. I don't know for other fields. I know for politics, let's say you want to work on the Hill or you want to work in some sort of advocacy group, it's pretty easy going from Brown, being a poli-sci or sociology major, but getting into tech and things of that nature, I don't necessarily know if I could really, really help somebody with that. And then STEM fields, I really don't know how it is. Again, this is one of those things where it's because I'm a political science concentrator, I know a little bit about the humanities and how we be doing, and we not doing so good. I'm not gonna hold you. But yes, so that's really all I have to say. I might go, maybe one day I'll go more into depth about my experience at Brown, but not today. I don't feel like it. Maybe after I graduate. I hope this was helpful for some of you. I don't want it to seem like I dislike Brown, because I don't. Like, I've had a decent experience here, but I think I want to be honest, right? Brown University is a school. It's a regular university. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching.